As the old saying goes, be careful for what you wish for. We finally got our warming trend. And while this is all pretty hard stuff, you know, there's still a lot of water, some squishy spots. You want to have your boots on to walk around the yard. I have a delivery that's going out, and that was loaded here yesterday. And I thought I could show you around here. Everything's just been frozen to the ground. There's something that I want to show you. So before all this crazy weather started, Log Hauler Jesse had brought a load of logs. I did a video on it. I'll try to link that so you can see the load of logs that we're talking about. And my goal was to, which is not my strong suit, my goal was to account for everything on that load, to give myself, because I don't do this, to give myself and you guys and gals an idea of the economics of a log load. So my goal was to keep track of everything. How much split firewood there was in the one load, how many gallons of fuel did I go through, how many chains that I use, how much waste, you know, the chaff, the sawdust and all right here. And well, it started, you know, back before Christmas, and then this crazy weather started. So I can't remember most of it. I can't remember now because I just filled up the fuel tank yesterday. I can't remember if when I filled it up before, was it because I had run a tank through it, or because I was topping it off to begin. Same thing with the chains. And I think I might have used extra chains on that load because it was pretty dirty. There's a lot of mud on those logs, and that's not good for the chains. So the last thing is the amount of totes that I've dumped. I was really wanting to keep track of the mess, you know, just to get an idea, but all of that's out the window. But what I was able to bring you, I was good at keeping everything together. So these two rows right here is all from the one load. Yeah, but I stacked everything together. I kept everything together. We have two beautiful rows, and I still have a little bit more to add, but I figure here we are, all of the processor logs I got run through. So I thought, let's calculate this all here together, and here's how we're going to do it. These pallets given to me by my good friend Dale from the Firewood Hut, these are 9 feet long pallets, all right? So the pallet starts here. So how about for right now, we have some taper on this one. Let's forget about this right now. All right, let's start counting here. So this is one pallet. Number 2. Here is the third pallet. Let's keep going. Here is number 4. It's wet here. Here's number 5. There is number 6. And here is number 7. Okay, which we had a little blowout here. I'll have to get this straightened out. But we have 7 pallet long firewood. And I'm here to tell you we stacked it tall. These are 5 feet tall. Okay, so let's do some math. Which is my strong suit. Got it right here. So we have 7 pallets that are 9 feet long. So 7 times 9, that is 63 feet of firewood. And we can just do some estimating with that taper on the far end on pallet number 8. If we inverted it, okay, so here we have a nice square. You with me? Okay, we're not doing science here. This is just some quick math. Okay, so we have 63 feet per row, okay, and there's 2 rows. So our math is 63 feet times 5 feet tall times 1.3 feet wide, because a 16-inch stick of firewood is 1.3 feet. You with me? So that's 63 times 5 times 1.3 equals 409.5 feet. cubic feet of firewood. You with me? Now we know that there are 2 rows, so that is times 2 is 819 cubic feet. And if we divide that by a cord of firewood, which is 128 cubic feet, that comes to 6.4 cords. So that load from Log Hauler Jesse's gotten me right now almost 6.5 cords of firewood. Honestly, guys, that is more than I was expecting. I have always estimated my yield as around 5 cords because I exclude a lot. And a lot of the offcuts, you know, they go into my woodshed, and I don't account for those either. I just heat my house with them. But let's walk on up here to where the logs were, and I'll show you why there's still some more logs to be included. But we got a real thin wood yard here. My production, though, we were busy this week making wood. What I didn't get accomplished this winter because of the weather, I wanted Oakland, we're moving Oakland up to here, and I never got that accomplished. The hickory, I wanted that hickory processed because I want to see if doing it in the wintertime helps it out with that bug, which is nasty. And I didn't get that accomplished either. But here we go. Notice the length of these logs. They're like 20-ish feet long. If you recall, the logs that Log Hauler Jesse brought in were the shorter ones. They were stacked here. They were already cut short. And that, I think, added to the number of offcuts that I had, because I was pretty much getting 1 offcut per log. And when I'm cutting my logs myself, I have a tape measure where I account for the kerf, so I only have an offcut on 1 log when I cut it in half. And you know, you have less waste. But here, these logs, I did not run through the processor because they're just too big, too crooked. I think this one here I could have got to go through. I just needed to trim that knot off. But what I'm going to do, and then we do have a few more offcuts, like these will go to the woodshed back at the house. But and one more. I forgot all about this. This short beech log fell off the live deck when I was trying to load it. It's just too short. And I'm always trying to see what I can get away with. And this was just too short, and it fell off between the live deck and the infeed. I have the live deck probably farther away from this than I should, but I've been able to get by with it. Especially with long straight logs, you get a lot of weight on the table, and it feeds onto the table, feeds onto the infeed pretty good. But you know, the short logs, it would help if I had a second person here, but that's not usually the case. So my plan, though, is to get these cut up with the Dolmar, and we'll get them split and stacked onto that far end, and then we'll have our final yield. But I had thought that that was enough, you know, to show you how much wood we got made from 1 load of logs. And I don't know, I thought that that would even be less than my typical load just because they were cut short. There's a lot of airspace in it. But what the heck, I'll take it. I think that was really cool. A really good yield for split firewood that I can sell here. And that stuff's kind of dry. I think it'll dry out sooner than some of the other stuff that we've made. Okay, second thing that I want to show you. We had an oopsie with the cleaner. The cable broke on the cleaner, and it caused, the cable secures up here, it caused the infeed to fall. Then I kept this basket underneath it for just that. This cable snapped one time before, and it scared me. And but you know, it has a safety chain on it to keep it from collapsing all the way down. But here's the cable, and this is where it broke. You know, and what I'm going to do, so here's the other end of it. I'm going to just take these doodads off. I have another one of these because this thing keeps the loop tight up against this, so that keeps the cable on its track, I guess, because when this thing pivots, the cable runs on these pulleys, and it allows, you know, the outfeed to pivot. But I texted my friend Mark, who some of you may know from YouTube, and he came right out with his grinder and he cut that cable off for me, because it's kind of hard to get at when it was tucked up on that little, what do you call that thing, guys? But here, other side of it, so we cut the end off of here too, and it goes through here to the other side, and then it will get, you know, snaked down and hooked onto that thing. So I do have enough extra on the spool where I can just run this out, although it is starting to rust, and that's probably, you know, what got me into that predicament to begin with, with the cable breaking. I do have a new spool that I can put on this, but for right now I just want to get this up and running, because I do have some production slated, and I need to get this done. I jammed this piece of wood in here to keep this the lock pushed in, because when I climb up in the trailer, and this is pretty heavy, but it's not that heavy, I can just, you know, pull it myself, pick it up and pull it myself to slide it down so that I can get my trailer filled up. Okay, but like I said, the ground's pretty wet right now, and then in another month we're gonna be starting to have to mow the grass, which isn't any fun. But let's talk about the economy of firewood. So when you buy a log truck like that, where are you at? Somewhere between $600 and $800 to $900 per load, depending on where you are, depending on who your logger is, depending on the species. So, you know, if you're into numbers, well, here you go. Let's just say you can get 6 sellable cords. For some of you guys and gals, you might be able to get more because you're not throwing out your offcuts or your uglies. I do, and this is all beautiful firewood, my gosh. But you know, what do you do here? You think about what you've spent on it. You know, and this is where the YouTube accountants here might have a field day, because, you know, you got your machine, you got to depreciate the use of your machine, and your consumables, you got your fuel, you got the oil, you got your chains. But for me, I just know what I can sell this firewood for. I know what my markup is, which is healthy. And I see that I got 6, we're gonna have 6+ cords to sell here, you know, whenever the stuff gets dried out. So it's stacked. Oh, I left out a big one here. Okay, so I've done a lot of the stacking myself, but if you hear in the background, we got some loading going on. I have a high school help. He can have a cord stacked in under an hour, an hour average, and I pay him $20 to stack a cord of firewood. And to me, that's the biggest bang for my buck. I actually make more money stacking firewood than I do making firewood, if you can believe that. The commodity amount for firewood in my area is around $200 to $225 a cord. And when we stack ours and season it out, you know, we more than double that. More than double what we can get for our firewood here. So when you think about what are you going to do? You know, if you want to heap all this into a pile, well, guess what? You don't need a $8,000 to $10,000 conveyor to do that. If you want to get it loaded into your truck, you don't need another machine, a front end loader. And when you saw my past videos of me loading this truck, my half-ton truck, which can hold a half a cord of firewood neatly stacked, or quarter cord, I can have that truck loaded before you can get your other machine warmed up, you know? And so that expense is off my books. This is simple. This is easy. It is an elegant process. We just broadside up next to this with my truck, and we just get it loaded and we're down the road. So that's why, you know, when you think of the economics of firewood, sometimes we forget about all of these machines, I guess, because we don't use a lot of them the way we stack. We just bring that trailer around, tilt it up in the air, and we stack right off the tailgate. It's done, and we're ready to make another load. Boy, that is really good looking firewood. Okay, guys, let me know if my math is correct. Anytime you hear me spouting off numbers, you should be suspicious. I can spell numbers, but I can't factor them. All right, I hope everyone has it's a beautiful day out. Have a great day.